Okay, so Patty, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so thrilled that you can be here and that we can connect. And like I do with all my guests, I like to start at the beginning of your yoga journey. So I'd love to hear, how did you first find yoga and then how did it impact your life?
Wow, okay. My challenge will be keeping it brief. Um, so when my kids were young, I have adult children, and when they were young, I had an episode that landed me in the emergency room, and so it was heart beating and palpitations and dizziness, and so nothing could be found. They thought, oh, it's anxiety, and I thought, well, all right, I've not really had panic before, and it persisted, and so I was going to be given this urgent appointment to the cardiologist, and the morning I was supposed to go was the morning of 9/11, and so everything was put on hold and I couldn't get in for another 3 months. So, it was kind of a crazy time in our
Yes.
history and in our
Yes.
community anyway. And so, with all that, this, stress didn't help. And so these symptoms had persisted, and my husband had, our local gym, there was a Kundalini Yoga class. He had went one morning to the beginner class, and he's like, you need to go. And I just, was kind of beside myself, didn't know what to do. And so finally I said, okay, I'll go with you. And basically he's like, quit sitting around the house waiting to have a heart attack. And we're going to go to yoga. I'm like, I'm these little kids. I need to be around. And I felt like the teacher was talking to me. So it just felt so, like if there were maybe 30 people in the room, but I felt like every word was just directed at me. The practice was, as a beginning class, it was very gentle, moving the body. It was very much about, nurturing the spirit and the soul, and I was hooked. And that's actually what got me through the next couple of years. Like, okay, I have yoga on Sunday morning, Tuesday night, and then I started adding all different types of yoga in the mornings because I just was so hooked. But it got me through 2 years until the medical community was able to find out it was a thyroid issue.
Mm.
So it wasn't in my mind. It wasn't this, it wasn't that, but like it was literally like I feel saved my life at the time. It was somewhere safe I could go and just take care of me. And so that was my
Wow.
introduction. I was hooked from the first time because I just, it was so powerful for me.
Right. And so you started with Kundalini Yoga, and you're the first person I'm having on who teaches Kundalini Yoga. And it's so different than other styles of yoga. I think that the quote unquote popular styles that people think about, which are very asana based and pose based. So I'd love for you just to talk a little bit about what Kundalini Yoga is and the principles behind it, because I've taken a few classes and I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, but it is different. Sometimes we do stuff that's, frankly, a little weird. So, with the breath, the intensity of the breath and movement, and so so yoga has roughly 108 postures and all kinds of variations. So we share those within Kundalini Yoga, but we do a lot of movement that is like a fast repetition. So maybe like scooping up over, or maybe like a swimming motion, and this is all designed to tap into the nervous system to strengthen it. Kind of rapid motions that we do in a powerful breath. The breath expedites the effects of the exercise. And then the rapid movements trick the nervous, I don't want to say trick, but train the nervous system. Nervous system thinks that we've started and stopped over and over again. And what this does is it promotes more rapid learning and integration and strengthening of the nervous system. So many of the postures we share, many are unique to Kundalini Yoga, but it's about embracing all of these aspects of yoga. So we've got our 8 limbs and then roughly 22 branches or so. So we use mantra, which is, I was chanting, mudra, hand position, asana, relaxation, meditation. Most of the class prepares the nervous system to receive the meditation. So there's a huge emphasis on meditation. And it's about, and really all yoga is, but I think, if you've never been to yoga and you're looking at the magazines in the supermarket checkout aisle, you're like, oh, I can't do that. So a lot of people are, kind of discouraged because they're showing these beautiful postures in this. And Kundalini Yoga, the emphasis is on the experience, not the perfection of posture. So like, how do you feel during class? What do you take with you? And I think really yoga in general, this is the ultimate goal, is what is your experience and how does it support your lifestyle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. And it's funny, like, well, the emphasis on the nervous system, I think now the science is all catching up with this, the fact that you did this and you were like, oh, I feel better. And so many people have that experience. You do yoga and you're like, I just feel better. And you can't explain why, but now there's science behind it saying that it's activating our nervous system to help our body to relax on a bodily level. So I think that's just so it's wonderful to have that focus. What made you or inspired you to begin teaching Kundalini Yoga, first of all, becoming a teacher, and then to share that with special populations?
So I probably knew 6 months into practicing yoga that I wanted to teach. I'm a counselor by profession. And so I thought, oh, this is great. There's so many techniques to bring in for stress relief and just, kind of energy regulation and management, just, like such a great practice. So I probably knew 6 months in I wanted to, and maybe it was a year and a half later, I took teacher training and my intention, I was in the best shape of my life then. I was early 30s. I was like, okay, I'm, really good shape. I was just going to go out and teach classes. Let's go. And I ended up in the local yoga studio teaching a gentle class. And so I'm like looking around like, okay, what do I do? And so I quickly learned that, any of our yoga kriyas, postures, breath, meditation can be adapted so that anyone can practice. So I just embraced it. I've been teaching those time frames since like same Tuesday, Thursday classes since probably 2004. So it's like I have students that have come that long. I mean, I just love it. And then a few years later, I do have a son who's autistic. So he is 23 now. And I probably well over a decade, maybe he was 10 or 11 when he was my inspiration, because I would bring him to other classes. Kids sometimes do better when it's not their mom teaching.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, and the other teachers know way more than I do, according to, the kids. So,
right.
But he was an inspiration. So we just started at this local yoga studio. And because my son, I'm so involved, we've got a really large community of special needs parents and kids being, right outside of Los Angeles, so right on the outskirts. It's a large, very populated. And so a lot of kids that we're able to serve. So I do all ages. And it was just kind of, let's jump in and see what happens. I wasn't real sure. I knew what my son was capable of, but it was just about showing up, saying yes, and okay, let's see what's going to happen.
I love that you did the teacher training and then had this one idea of where you were going with it. And it's funny how life just happens and it's like, oh, okay, we're doing gentle yoga. And then how that has led you to where you are now. Well, I love in your book when you say, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. That's the ultimate message that I hope to get out there, like with talking with people about yoga, because there's just so many misconceptions about what yoga is. So I'd love to hear about your book, Yogable, and like your inspiration behind it, and what made you decide to write it, and what was the process like in getting it published?
So the title actually came from the quote that you picked out of the book, like, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. I used to say, and I do still, but I would say more frequently back then, like, yoga is doable for anybody. If you can breathe, you can do yoga, because it's not about getting into a fancy pretzel. It's, like, let's be present with our breath. Let's just be present in our body. All we have to do is be. And so that's kind of the premise behind, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. And since then, I've taught kids that are, most of their body is paralyzed and they're in wheelchairs, but they're doing yoga. And so it's just true. I've seen it unfold. So the title actually came from it. So one morning in class, I was teaching and I was trying to say yoga is doable for everyone, and it came out Yogable. And so I joked, I mean, this was probably 10 years ago. I joked, oh, look, I have a title for a book, And so I just kind of laughed it off, but it stuck with me. And then as I began to teach more and more special needs yoga classes to kids, so I say kids, the whole family comes, it's family style, but our kids are, anywhere from, young toddlers to, 30, 40 years old. So everybody's welcome. It's like kids style. We're not doing, you have to hold this and do this and do it. We have fun, right? We're moving. They just think they're having fun. They don't care that they're working on the nervous system and balance and, on and on. So that inspired me because I had experiences, these kids just, blow my mind. They leave me in wonder and awe. And so I wanted to share that. And also what I found is that, so all of this has happened before we really, at least for me, we're up on any, there was no social media, there was that kind of stuff. So that dates me a little bit, but it wasn't easy to just like look on Instagram or Facebook and see, well, what are people doing with kids yoga? And then what are we doing with special needs? And then even in the last couple of years, I've had to get more on the ball. So I'm finding a lot for kids, but, not so much for special needs. And I found that, like in our own yoga studio, if I was going to be away, I had a really hard time finding a sub because people would be nervous. Like, well, how am I going to teach students that are nonverbal? Or how do I teach students that are rocking or making noise through the whole class? Like, what do I do? And so I thought, we need to, I want to teach people how to do it. I want to, I'm hoping that the book for yoga teachers or, maybe in school using some tips, like how do we, start up and teach a class for the special needs population. And ours is very diverse, a lot of autism, Down syndrome, but we've got all kinds of developmental delays and some physical delays as well.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. It's just truly that yoga is for everybody and showing that. And I love how you said that you take the approach of kids yoga, no matter what the age is in the room, which is essentially like adult yoga is generally very serious and quiet, and kids yoga is pretty much the opposite. So I love that. I can see how you're forming such a community and why people, want to come back and just feel good. And meanwhile, you're doing all these things that are helping their bodies and their minds. So I'd love to hear from you. Let's start with what the greatest challenge has been in doing this kind of work, and then we'll go to the greatest reward. So
I kind of laugh. I'm like, I don't know if I should share. So some of the challenges have really been establishing, I would say, the physical boundaries, like coming in and trying to find a balance between, okay, this is like a lot of yoga studios, here's our etiquette, here's how we act in the yoga studio, forget it. But yes, we want to teach some of that, like how can we really come in and find quiet? How, when we get to deep relaxation for kids that are just naturally noisy and wiggly, they're allowed to be that way, but how do we get them to be maybe a little more quiet? And so we just work with it slowly, and so they can maybe take that one deep breath and let it all go, and really allowing people to be who they are, these kids to be who they are, but also creating the structure. So it's like boundaries and structure, but also allowing them who to be. And some of them, like I just get touched, and this is the most challenging thing. And this sounds horrible, but the first things that I thought of is like, sometimes I'm just trying to get like, okay, your hands have been in your pants. I don't want your hands from butt to my face. So this is like literally what I was dealing with sometimes. And I love them, but those would be, that's the real deal. Yep. These are
right. It's like you said, you're allowing everyone to be who they are and express themselves, but then you need boundaries. And then you're also trying to have your own boundaries. It's so much going on at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not touch my face now. Thank you very much.
Right. That's a firm boundary for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all it just unrolls. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what has been the greatest reward for you?
Probably just, creating relationships with these really unique and special people, seeing the growth. It's just, it's joyful because not verbal or nonverbal. So this is one of the things I love. So in Kundalini Yoga, we tune in with an opening mantra in the beginning of class. And so I do that even if I have nonverbal, because they participate in sound vibration with their voice, whether they can speak words or not. It is amazing. And so that to me always just blows me away. I get goosebumps, like they're just in that sound vibration with their voice, but without words. So that's something that's very amazing to me. And then the joy too of just seeing people grow and just being able to spend time. And sometimes you get those like little aha moments. So it's really, I think, just spending time with these, I would say most of them are quite honest. They don't hold back. They're gonna, if they don't like something, I'm gonna know. And so yeah, I think what is I'm trying to find the words for it, is that they're authentically who they are. There's not any pretense or I'm trying to be this or that. They just show up as who they are.
Yes. Right. I know it's really refreshing to be around that, actually, to the way kids are so open. And I think it reminds us to kind of let go. Like you said, if you're doing something they don't like, they're going to let you know. So you're humbled constantly.
And these kids do it. And adults, like, they may be, like I have adults, but they're some of the levels, they're functioning more like children. And so that's why the family yoga is fun. But, just like any neurotypical kid, you can't like pull the wool over their eyes. You can't know that they're like on it and will hold you accountable. And so that's, refreshing too. But sometimes like, oh yeah, I can't slide. They're going to, be on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what are your hopes and dreams for the work you're doing and also for your book now that it is out?
I know it's out. Yay.
Well,
I'm hoping, I think the main hope is that it's well received in the community, that people find it helpful. I'm so excited to actually be sharing in the book information that I've not seen published before, specific to the aura for autistic individuals and those with sensory processing issues, and how yoga can help that to smooth the aura. So that's been exciting to just kind of learn more. And I think what the ultimate goal is, I don't need to be the one teaching all the classes. I want other people to do it. So I would love to travel and, teach people how to, so you've got a community here. Do you want to set up special needs yoga class, or do you need to learn how to, really teach a gentle class for seniors? What are the needs of within special populations? And can I, help you, teach you how, and get things up and going for other studios around, through the United States. My first plan is like cities where I know people already. Oh, okay, I'll go visit and, maybe reach out to some studios and do some workshops at the same time. So I want to share it. I want other people to be able to reap the benefits from doing what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's how you reach more people. It's by training other people to teach classes. And then, then it's not, like you said, it's not just you teaching all the classes all the time. That also gets, I'm sure you've been doing this so long. I know when I've taught a lot, got to the place of burnout. So I'm sure that for you, after a while, you probably, need a little breather, and it would be, nice to have others be able to teach.
I'm more balanced with my time. When I was first teaching, I was like 10, sometimes more classes than 10 a week. And I don't do that to myself anymore. So I'm pretty much at 5, sometimes 6. During the summer when there's camps and things, I do a lot of like extras for the kids. But yeah, otherwise I because I'm still, even though my son is grown, I'm still a full-time mom. Like that's still a 24/7 deal. So I'm a little more balanced in my own energy, I would say, than I was years ago.
Right. And you have to be in order to take care of yourself and sustain the work that you're doing and offer the best that you can. So I'd love, from your perspective, to hear a kids yoga gem. That's how I always end. So it's a little piece of advice, like your golden rule for anyone who is sharing yoga with children. What would that be?
I think like the main thing that comes to mind is fun. So there's no rigidity. I just kind of present the class and I go. I don't go around. I don't make anybody do everything. Like they might do a posture, like 3 postures later, do one, and they're like, okay, great, that we've already done. So I just present. I don't force anything. I let everybody participate at their own level, and I try for it to be fun. I really like to include meditation. Every class gets meditation, and meditation is fun. So for the kids, it's not necessarily like sitting down, let's just be quiet and breathe. Meditation can be that, but we use a lot of singing, a lot of mantra and movement and song, because it's through that vibration and movement, we're bringing the kids into the present moment. So they're just here right now through these external, movements and vibrations. So fun would be my one gem. And the meditation can be fun too. Again, it doesn't have to be serious. Let it be fun.
Yes, I love that saying, meditation is fun. Just that, I think so many people, they picture just sitting silently, and that there's so many ways to come at it, especially in kids yoga. So thank you for that. It's really, really good advice.
Kind of time to be quiet.
Nope. Yep. Not going to happen. And then it's not enjoyable for anybody.
Right.
So I want people to be able to find you, find your work, find your book. Okay. So can you point us to your website?
I do. I'll show you. I have one. Yes, I will, but I'll show you what it looks. I don't know if it.
Oh, yes.
So
Yogable.
This is what it looks like. Yogable. In Kundalini, we wear a head covering. Like my hair is down now, but sometimes it's a turban. So if you go to class, it's Kundalini. The hair is usually up, or at least the top of the head is covered. So the book Yogable, A Gentle Approach to Yoga for Special Populations. It's on Amazon. You can find it online, Barnes and Noble. Balboa Press is the publisher, so they actually are selling it directly as well. My website, it lists all of those as well, and you can see for anybody who's local who wants to come to activities, or if somebody wants to, find out about hosting a workshop at their studio or in their city. My website is Patty Yogable, so Patty and then yogable.com.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you're also on Instagram, right?
I am on Instagram. So it's Patty Yogable, but there's an underscore, Patty_Yogable. So that's okay.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experience. I think this was such valuable information for everyone listening, and the work you're doing is so important. So just keep on going, and congratulations on your book.
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks so much for having me. This has been fun.
Absolutely.
And, I appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Okay.